The face, a mirror of the inner world. Have you ever noticed that a person's face often tells you more than their words? Sometimes, you don't even need to hear them speak. You just need to look at their eyes, their smile, the way their muscles rest, and you instantly sense what's happening inside. Joy, stress, kindness, worry, all of it leaves its mark on the face. There's an old saying, the face is the mirror of the soul. And while we may not always think about it, our inner state is constantly being broadcasted through the subtle expressions we carry. Let me share with you a simple yet powerful story. Long ago, a young monk came to his teacher, a wise meditation master. The monk insisted, "Master, I am at peace. I have no anger, no confusion." But the teacher looked at him quietly, observing the tension around his eyes, the tightness of his mouth, and the way he shifted his shoulders. The master smiled gently and said, "Your words speak of peace, but your face tells me of storms. Your face is the book your mind is writing, and today, I can read its unrest." That story reveals something we all know but often forget. Our faces cannot hide what our hearts are carrying. We may try to put on a mask, to smile when we are not happy, or to look calm when we are restless. But true emotions leak through. A forced smile is never the same as a natural one. A heavy heart always weighs down the eyes. Think about the last time you were truly stressed. Did your face tighten? Did your jaw clench? Did your eyes feel heavy or your forehead wrinkle without you even noticing? Now think of a moment when you felt free, joyful, deeply at ease. Wasn't your whole face softer, brighter, more open? Psychologists even say that we carry what they call emotional residue in our expressions. Over time, repeated emotions leave permanent lines on our faces. It's why some people seem to have a naturally kind face, while others appear hardened, even when they're not speaking. Our emotions literally sculpt us. And this is where mindfulness becomes so important. Because if the face is a mirror of the inner world, then the only way to keep that mirror soft, kind, and radiant is to take care of what happens inside. But here's the question. How often do we really notice what we are carrying? Most of the time, we rush through life unaware. We don't see the tension building in our brows until someone points it out. We don't realize our smile has disappeared until we catch ourselves in a photo. We live on autopilot, and the face reflects that restlessness. Yet when we return to mindfulness, even for a few breaths, we change the story. Imagine pausing in the middle of a stressful day, closing your eyes, and breathing deeply. With each exhale, you let go of the weight you're holding. Slowly, your shoulders drop, your eyes soften, and the corners of your lips lift ever so slightly. You don't force it. It happens naturally. Mindfulness gives your face permission to relax, and in that moment, you return to yourself. In Buddhism, there's a saying, when the mind is calm, the body is at ease. The face, perhaps more than any other part of the body, reflects this truth. It is the first place people notice peace, or the absence of it. So let me ask you this. When people look at your face, what do they see? Do they see someone weighed down by constant worry, or someone who radiates calm and kindness? Do they see lines of stress, or the lightness of compassion? The beautiful thing is, we are not powerless in this. Our faces are not fixed. They are living, breathing reflections of how we care for our inner world. By practicing mindfulness, by breathing consciously, by softening our hearts, we soften our faces. A kind face is not something you're born with. It's something you cultivate, moment by moment. I remember a time when I was overwhelmed with work and stress. No matter how hard I tried, people kept asking, "Are you okay? You look tired." I didn't even realize it, but my face was telling a story I didn't want it to. Only when I started pausing for mindful breathing, just 3 conscious breaths before meetings, before answering calls, before going to bed, did things shift. Slowly, people began saying, "You look lighter today." And I wasn't wearing new clothes or changing my hairstyle. The change came from within. This is the secret. Your inner peace is the most natural beauty you can ever wear. It doesn't wash off, it doesn't fade with age, and it doesn't cost a thing. It radiates through your eyes, your smile, and even in your silence. So, how do we keep our faces kind, calm, and compassionate? The answer is simple, though not always easy: mindfulness. Mindfulness is the key that unlocks the softness in our expressions. It's the practice that allows us to live in a way that our faces shine, not because we are forcing it, but because peace has truly taken root inside. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore where this mindfulness begins, right in the breath. Because if you want your face to soften, If you want to look truly alive and peaceful, the first step is learning how to breathe with awareness. Mindfulness, breathing into ease. If you want your face to soften, to look more at peace, where should you begin? Not with creams. Not with makeup. Not even with sleep. The answer is much simpler, much closer, and much more powerful than you think. It begins with your breath. Have you noticed how the face tightens when you're holding your breath without realizing it? Stress shortens the breath, anxiety makes it shallow, and anger quickens it. And all of this shows right away. Your jaw stiffens, your brow furrows, your lips press together. The breath and the face are intimately connected. There's a story of a man who was known for his constant frown. His friends often told him, "Why do you look so harsh, even when you're not upset?" He didn't even realize that his face had frozen into that expression. One day, he came across a teacher of mindfulness who simply asked him to sit down and breathe. At first, he resisted. How can breathing change my face? But slowly, as he learned to follow each inhale and each exhale with awareness, something shifted. His shoulders loosened. His chest opened. And without even trying, the corners of his lips curved into the faintest smile. His friends noticed it before he did. That smile was not forced. It was born from the calm he cultivated within. This is the secret power of mindful breathing. It doesn't just calm the mind, it softens the face. It is the most natural cosmetic, the most authentic way to restore beauty, and it is available to every single one of us in every moment. Think about this for yourself. When was the last time you actually noticed your breath? Not just breathing automatically, but truly being with it, feeling the cool air enter your nose, the rise of your chest, the gentle release as you exhale. For most of us, breathing happens in the background, unnoticed, while we chase deadlines, scroll through screens, and carry the weight of daily worries. But when we ignore the breath, we also ignore the key to our own calmness. In Buddhist teachings, the breath is not only the bridge between body and mind, it is the anchor that brings us home to the present moment. Every inhale can carry peace, and every exhale can release tension. When you breathe with awareness, the racing thoughts begin to settle. You no longer live in the regrets of yesterday or the worries of tomorrow. You are here, now. And when the mind is here, the face follows. The jaw unclenches, the eyes soften, the forehead smooths, the lips open into a gentle smile that feels real because it is real. Some people might ask, but can breathing really make me look different? And the answer is yes. Science even supports this. Studies show that slow, conscious breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural relaxation response. It lowers stress hormones, eases muscle tension, and restores balance. You can literally see the change on someone's face after they take a few mindful breaths. They look lighter, softer, more open. And here's something beautiful. Breathing this way not only changes how we look, it changes how others feel around us. Have you ever noticed that being with a calm person makes you calmer too? Their presence, their face, their energy, it's contagious. That is the gift of mindful breathing. It doesn't just soften your own face, it softens the atmosphere for everyone around you. Let me share a personal reflection. There was a period in my life when stress seemed endless. I didn't notice how much it was affecting me until a friend said, "You look like you're always frowning, even when you're just sitting there." At first, I felt defensive. But then I caught my reflection in the mirror, and she was right. My face carried the imprint of my restlessness. That realization hurt, but it also woke me up. So I tried something simple. Every morning before rushing into the day, I sat for 5 minutes with my breath. No phone, no distractions. Just in and out. In and out. At first, it felt almost too simple to matter. But slowly, something shifted. My mornings began with less tension. My interactions felt lighter. And yes, people noticed. Someone told me one day, "You look happier lately." They didn't know it, but what they were seeing was the power of mindful breathing. So I ask you, what story is your face telling right now? Is it carrying the weight of rushing and worrying? Or does it reflect calmness, ease, and kindness? The beauty of this practice is that you don't need to wait for the perfect time or place. You can do it right here, right now. Try it with me. Take a slow breath in. Feel the air enter your lungs. Hold it gently. And then let it go. Notice how even that one breath changes the way your body feels. Do it again, and your whole face begins to glow with peace. This is not about pretending to be calm or forcing a smile. It's about giving yourself the gift of presence. Breathing in, you nourish yourself. Breathing out, you release the burdens you no longer need to carry. Over time, your breath becomes your refuge, and your face becomes the natural reflection of your inner freedom. And here is the most profound truth. Mindful breathing is an act of compassion, not just for yourself, but for everyone you meet. Because when your face radiates peace, you remind others that they too can find peace within. Your calmness becomes a silent blessing to the world. So, if you want to soften your face, if you want to carry a natural glow that no product can give you, begin here, with the breath. Mindful breathing is the most authentic beauty care, the most timeless secret of peace. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore what happens when we learn not only to breathe mindfully, but also to let go of the heavy emotions we've been carrying. Because if the breath softens the face, then letting go of anger and resentment can illuminate it completely. Letting go of burdens, the light on the face. Have you ever noticed how anger leaves a trace on the face? No matter how carefully someone dresses, no matter what makeup they wear, a person holding on to resentment cannot hide it. The jaw tightens, the eyes harden, the skin seems heavy. It's almost as if the anger itself paints over their natural beauty. There's a teaching from the Buddha that says, holding on to anger is like grasping a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. That fire of anger doesn't only live in the mind, it shows itself on the body, and especially on the face. Think about someone you know who often holds grudges or gets angry easily. Even when they're not shouting, you can still sense it, can't you? The energy lingers in their expressions, in the way their eyes narrow, in the stiffness of their features. Their whole presence feels guarded, closed, heavy. Now, think of someone who has forgiven, who has let go, who carries kindness instead of resentment. Isn't their face different? Softer, more open, almost radiant? That's the power of letting go. It doesn't just heal the heart, it transforms the face. Let me share with you a simple story from the Buddhist tradition. There was once a man who came to the Buddha, furious and trembling with rage. He had been insulted by someone, and he carried that insult like a stone in his chest. He demanded, "Tell me, what should I do with this anger? It burns me day and night." The Buddha looked at him gently and asked, "When you hold a burning coal tightly in your hand, who gets burned first, you or the one you want to throw it at?" The man paused, realizing the answer was obvious. He was the one suffering first, long before the coal could reach anyone else. The Buddha continued, "So it is with anger. You think it hurts the other, but before it ever reaches them, it has already scarred your own heart, your own face, your own life." This truth is simple but profound. Anger is self-inflicted suffering. And the release of anger is not a gift we give to others. It's a gift we give to ourselves. Now let's pause and reflect. How many times have we carried resentment for days, weeks, even years? How often do we replay the same argument in our heads, letting it sour our mood, tighten our faces, and dim our joy? And for what? Does holding on ever make us lighter? Or does it only deepen the wrinkles of stress, leaving a shadow where there could have been light? Science agrees with this too. Studies show that anger and chronic stress increase the levels of cortisol in the body, which not only harms our health but also affects how we look, aging us faster, lowering our natural glow, and leaving the face looking tired. In contrast, practicing forgiveness and compassion reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and even improves how others perceive us. People literally see us as kinder, more attractive, and more approachable. I remember a time in my own life when I held on to resentment for far too long. Someone had wronged me, and instead of letting it go, I replayed the story endlessly. It didn't change the past, but it changed me. I became harsher, more impatient, even with those who had nothing to do with the situation. And yes, I could see it in the mirror. My face looked tense, my smile forced. The turning point came one evening when I sat quietly and asked myself, is this anger worth carrying one more day? In that silence, I breathed deeply, and for the first time, I allowed myself to let it go. Not because the other person deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace. The next morning, I looked in the mirror, and though nothing outside had changed, my face looked lighter. My eyes seemed freer. That was the first time I realized just how much our inner world writes itself onto our skin. So let me ask you, what anger are you still holding onto? Whose words or actions are you still replaying in your mind? And what is it costing you, not just in your heart, but on your face, in your presence, in the way others feel around you. Letting go doesn't mean what happened was right. It doesn't mean you forget. It simply means you refuse to let the wound keep poisoning you. It's choosing peace over poison. And that choice, again and again, becomes visible in the softness of your face, the warmth of your smile, the openness of your eyes. We live in a world that constantly tells us to fix our outer appearance with creams, treatments, surgeries. But here's a secret. No cosmetic is more powerful than forgiveness. No product can brighten the face like a heart that is free from anger. When you let go of resentment, your face shines, not with artificial glow, but with the genuine light of peace. And people will notice. They may not know what changed, but they will feel drawn to your presence, comforted by it, blessed by it. So remember this. Letting go is not just for the mind. It is also a gift to your face, your health, your relationships, and your very being. If you want to carry light on your face, if you want to be remembered not for the tension of your brow but for the kindness of your smile, practice the art of release. Free yourself from the coals of anger. Allow your heart to heal, and your face will follow. And in the next part of our journey, we'll explore one of the simplest yet most profound practices of all, the mindful smile. Because when a smile is born from true presence, it becomes medicine not only for yourself, but for everyone who sees it. The mindful smile, nature's own medicine. Have you ever noticed how one genuine smile can change an entire room? Not the polite, automatic kind of smile we put on for photos or social situations. I'm talking about a real smile, one that comes from deep inside, a smile born from peace. That kind of smile can heal more than 1,000 words ever could. There's a story from the Buddhist tradition that captures this beautifully. One day, the Buddha was sitting quietly with his disciples. He simply held up a flower. No words, no teachings, just a single flower in his hand. Most of the disciples stared in confusion, waiting for him to speak. But one monk, Makyapa, simply smiled. That smile was enough. The Buddha, too, smiled back. And in that silent moment, wisdom was transmitted, not through lectures, but through presence, through a simple mindful smile. What does that story mean for us today? It reminds us that a smile is not just an expression on the face, it is an expression of the soul. A smile that is forced, that is worn like a mask, doesn't carry energy. But a smile that comes from mindfulness, from being fully here, is different. It radiates calm. It says, I am at peace with this moment. Think of the last time you saw someone smile in a way that made you feel safe, understood, or comforted. Maybe it was your grandmother when you were a child. Maybe a stranger on the street. Maybe your partner after a long day. That kind of smile feels almost medicinal. It can ease pain, soften tension, and remind us of the goodness still alive in the world. Science actually backs this up. Researchers have found that genuine smiles, what psychologists call Duchenne smiles, where the eyes crinkle naturally, release endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin in the brain. These chemicals reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and even strengthen our immune system. In other words, a mindful smile is literally a natural sedative for both the one who smiles and the one who receives it. But here's the key, you can't fake it. A forced smile doesn't have the same effect. That's why mindfulness is so important. When you slow down, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to simply be, the smile comes on its own. It doesn't need effort. It doesn't need a reason. It's like a flower blooming. It happens naturally when the conditions are right. I remember a time when I was struggling with a heavy workload and constant stress. My mind was restless, and my face showed it. I looked tense, drained, serious all the time. One evening, I decided to sit quietly for 10 minutes, just following my breath. Inhale, exhale. Slowly, gently. After a few minutes, without forcing it, I felt a smile rising, not big, not loud, but soft. Almost like the body's way of saying, thank you for stopping. Thank you for letting me breathe. That small smile changed everything. I felt lighter, more open, and when I looked in the mirror, I could see that my whole face had softened. This is why the Buddha smiled at a flower. He was showing us that joy can be simple. We don't need a big achievement. We don't need external validation. We don't need life to be perfect. A flower blooms. A child laughs. A breeze passes through the trees. These are enough to awaken a smile, if we are mindful enough to notice. So let me ask you, when was the last time you allowed yourself to smile simply because you were alive? Not because something went your way, not because you achieved something, but just because you are here, breathing, existing in this mysterious, beautiful universe? The mindful smile is not about ignoring suffering or pretending everything is fine. Life is hard. We all carry burdens. But even in difficulty, we can smile, not out of denial, but out of recognition that life also carries beauty, resilience, and peace. The smile becomes a reminder, yes, suffering exists, but so does joy. And in this moment, I choose not to be consumed by the storm. Imagine if, instead of carrying frowns of worry, more of us carried these mindful smiles. Imagine walking into your home, greeting your family not with the weight of the day on your shoulders, but with a soft, genuine smile. How would that shift the mood? Imagine meeting a stranger in the grocery store and offering them a real smile, one that says, "I see you. I wish you well." What kind of ripple effect could that create in their day? The smile born of mindfulness is not just personal, it's collective. It heals relationships, softens conflicts, and spreads peace without a single word. So here's a simple practice for you. The next time you catch yourself rushing, stressing, or frowning, pause. Place one hand on your heart, take a deep breath in, and a slow breath out. Then, allow a gentle smile to rise, not forced, just invited. Notice how your body feels when you do this. Notice how the air seems lighter, how your mind feels softer. That smile is not decoration, it's medicine. And like any medicine, the more you practice, the more effective it becomes. A mindful smile nourishes you, just as food nourishes the body. Over time, it becomes your natural state, your way of being in the world. So remember this, a mindful smile is not trivial. It is a profound act of healing. It is nature's own sedative, a balm for the restless heart. And when you nourish this smile, you are not just brightening your own face, you are brightening the world around you. And in the next part of this journey, we'll explore another hidden treasure of mindfulness, the art of compassionate listening, because sometimes the greatest healing does not come from speaking, but from truly hearing. Eyes that see with compassion. Have you ever noticed how much you can read from someone's eyes? They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. And it's true, our eyes carry emotions long before our words do. But here's something deeper. A gentle, compassionate gaze doesn't come from being born beautiful. It comes from learning how to look at the world with kindness. There's a powerful story from the life of the Buddha that illustrates this perfectly. In ancient India, there was a feared bandit named Angulimala. His name means garland of fingers because he would kill travelers and take a finger from each victim, stringing them together around his neck. People trembled at the mere mention of him. He was ruthless, consumed by hatred and violence. One day, the Buddha chose to walk directly into the forest where Angulimala lived. As the bandit saw him, he prepared to strike, as he had done with so many others. But then something unexpected happened. The Buddha simply turned and looked at him, with eyes filled not with fear, not with judgment, but with compassion. Think about that for a moment. Imagine being seen by someone, not as a monster, not as the worst thing you've ever done, but as a human being capable of transformation. That gaze pierced through Angulimala's hardened heart. He dropped his weapon. And in time, he abandoned violence altogether, becoming one of the Buddha's disciples. What changed him? Not punishment, not lectures, not fear. It was the power of compassionate eyes. Now, you and I might not face bandits in the forest, but we all encounter anger, misunderstanding, and even cruelty in our daily lives. Sometimes, it's at work, sometimes in our own family. The question is, how do we look at others in those moments? With suspicion? With judgment? Or with compassion? I remember once being in a heated conversation with someone who completely disagreed with me. My instinct was to argue back, to let my eyes narrow in frustration. But then I caught myself. I softened my gaze, took a breath, and looked at them as a human being who, like me, was just trying to make sense of the world. The shift was immediate. Their shoulders relaxed. The tension dissolved. We didn't magically agree on everything, but we understood each other a little more. The truth is, our eyes carry energy. If we look at someone with anger, they will feel it, even if we say nothing. But if we look at them with compassion, they will feel that too. Neuroscience even supports this. Mirror neurons in our brains pick up and reflect the emotions of those around us. A compassionate gaze doesn't just change the person we are looking at, it changes us as well. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly looked into someone's eyes, not to judge, not to win an argument, not to prove a point, but simply to see them, to recognize their humanity? It doesn't mean we condone harmful actions. It doesn't mean we become naive. Compassionate eyes are not weak eyes. They are strong because they see deeper. They see the pain behind the anger, the fear behind the aggression, the wounded child behind the harsh adult. Imagine if we practiced this more often. What would happen if, instead of glaring at the driver who cuts us off in traffic, we softened our eyes and thought, maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe they are overwhelmed. What if, instead of rolling our eyes at the colleague who frustrates us, we looked at them and thought, they must be carrying something heavy I can't see? Wouldn't our own stress soften in that moment? Wouldn't the atmosphere around us shift? Compassionate eyes don't just change how others feel, they change how we feel. When we look with kindness, our own face relaxes. Our heart rate slows. The anger in us quiets down. It's like placing cool water on a flame. This is why Buddhist teachings often describe compassion as the foundation of peace. Because when our eyes soften, our whole being softens. And when our being softens, we no longer add fuel to the fires of conflict. Instead, we become like calm rivers, steady, refreshing, healing. Try this as a simple practice. The next time you're with someone, anyone, pause for a moment. Breathe. Look into their eyes as if you were seeing them for the very first time. Not their mistakes, not their flaws, not their roles. Just them, as a human being who, like you, wants to be happy, who, like you, suffers and struggles. Notice what happens to your heart when you do this. Notice how your eyes feel. Over time, this practice transforms you. Your eyes stop being sharp weapons of judgment. They become windows of peace. People will feel it. They may even tell you, there's something calm about the way you look at me. That calmness isn't makeup. It isn't genetic luck. It's the quiet beauty of compassion radiating outward. So remember this. A person with gentle eyes is not born that way. They have learned to look through the lens of love. And when you and I practice seeing the world with compassion, our eyes stop being mirrors of anger and start being windows of peace. And maybe, just maybe, like the Buddha with Angulimala, your eyes might one day soften someone else's heart in ways you could never imagine. In the next part of this journey, we'll explore something equally transformative, the power of listening, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. Because sometimes, offering our presence is the greatest act of compassion we can give. Mindful eating, a radiant face from within. Have you ever noticed how what we eat shows on our faces? It's not just about weight or skin tone. It's subtler than that. There's a glow that comes from vitality, from energy well balanced within. And there's a heaviness that comes from rushing, from stress, from mindless consumption. Every bite, every sip, leaves an imprint, not just in your body, but on your face. There's a story in Buddhist teachings about a devoted disciple who lived simply. He didn't eat lavish meals, and he didn't indulge in every craving. What set him apart was how he ate. Every meal was an act of mindfulness. He noticed the colors of his food, the textures, the aroma. He chewed slowly, savoring each bite. He felt gratitude for every morsel, understanding that each piece of food was nourishment for his body, his mind, and even his spirit. Because of this simple practice, the disciple was healthy, vibrant, and full of energy. But more than that, his face reflected it. There was a freshness, a lightness, a calm presence that drew others to him. People didn't always understand what he ate or how he ate, but they could feel the difference. His energy radiated from within, visible in the soft clarity of his eyes, the relaxed line of his jaw, the gentle curve of his lips. This is the essence of mindful eating, recognizing that food is not just fuel for the body, but also an extension of our mental and emotional state. When we eat in a rush, distracted by screens or worries, our mind is restless, and that restlessness subtly permeates the body. It can manifest as tension, inflammation, digestive discomfort, and yes, visible signs on the face. We may not notice at first, but over time, the habit of eating hurriedly can imprint a certain anxiety or heaviness onto our expression. Mindful eating works differently. By slowing down, by truly attending to each bite, we reconnect with our body. We feel the nourishment, the energy, the life that food provides. We experience gratitude, which in itself has a calming effect. Studies have shown that gratitude and mindfulness practices can reduce stress hormones, enhance mood, and even improve skin appearance. So when you eat consciously, your face literally becomes a mirror of that internal balance. Let's reflect for a moment. How often do you eat in a hurry? Lunch at your desk, scrolling on your phone, barely tasting the food? Or maybe grabbing a snack between meetings, thinking about the next task instead of the nourishment in your hand? This is the opposite of mindful eating, and over time, it can subtly shape how your body and face feel and appear. I remember a period in my life when I barely noticed what I ate. Meals were often a convenience, a quick fix between tasks. I was tired, irritable, and my face looked dull. It wasn't about a lack of care, it was about being unaware. Then, I began a simple practice, taking even 5 minutes to eat without distractions, paying attention to the taste, texture, and gratitude for the food. The effect was astonishing. Not only did my energy improve, but my face seemed lighter, calmer, more present. Friends commented, "You look healthier, more relaxed." It wasn't makeup or lighting. It was the subtle, visible effect of mindful nourishment. Mindful eating also teaches patience and self-compassion. When we eat slowly, we notice when we are full. We notice what truly satisfies hunger versus what is simply a distraction or craving. This attunement to our own body and needs carries over into our interactions, our emotions, and yes, our facial expressions. Calm, attentive eating nurtures a calm, attentive presence in the world. And here's something profound. Food is energy. Every bite we take is transformed into the cells, thoughts, and emotions of our being. Eating mindlessly can feed stress, impatience, and restlessness. Eating mindfully, with care and awareness, feeds peace, clarity, and kindness. When the mind is nourished in this way, the face naturally reflects it. Soft eyes, relaxed features, a gentle glow, they are the visible result of internal balance. Even simple practices make a difference. Before eating, pause for a breath. Appreciate the food in front of you. Notice the colors, the textures, the scent. Take each bite slowly, chew thoroughly, and feel the nourishment spreading through your body. Imagine the energy of the food infusing you with calmness and clarity. And when you finish, sit for a moment and notice how your body and face feel. These few mindful minutes can create a ripple effect throughout your day. So ask yourself, what story is your eating telling your face? Is it rushed, anxious, distracted? Or is it deliberate, grateful, peaceful? Small changes in how you approach food can have profound effects not only on health, but on presence, energy, and the subtle radiance of your features. In essence, mindful eating is more than a health practice. It is a form of meditation. Each meal becomes an opportunity to practice presence, gratitude, and care for yourself. And when this habit takes root, your face becomes a reflection of inner harmony. People may notice you seem lighter or calmer, but the truth is, it's the inner peace cultivated bite by bite, meal by meal, becoming visible to the world. So remember, what you eat, and how you eat it, leaves its mark. Let your meals be a practice of mindfulness. Let your breath, your attention, and your gratitude infuse every bite. And slowly, naturally, your face will bloom with the freshness, calm, and warmth that comes from feeding both body and mind with care. Eating mindfully is not about perfection or restriction. It is about presence. And when you nourish yourself with awareness, your face becomes a mirror of that gentle, radiant balance. In the next part of this journey, we will explore mindful movement, how gentle, conscious activity can further cultivate ease in the body and serenity in the face, completing the holistic path toward inner and outer harmony. Gentle words, a relaxed face. Have you ever noticed how words can leave marks, not just on hearts, but on faces? Think about it for a moment. Someone who constantly complains, criticizes, or lashes out may carry tension in their jaw, tight lines around the eyes, or a furrowed brow. Over time, these expressions settle into the face, creating an unintentional portrait of inner unrest. It's as if the mouth and eyes are mirrors reflecting the words that habitually leave our lips. Buddhism calls this principle right speech, or Chan and Ji, one of the 8 elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech isn't just about avoiding lies or harmful words. It's about cultivating language that is truthful, kind, gentle, and useful. The simple act of speaking kindly has ripple effects. It soothes the listener, nurtures relationships, and, perhaps surprisingly, it transforms the speaker as well. There's a story that illustrates this beautifully. A young monk once lived among a community of villagers who initially feared him because he seemed stern and silent. But he began practicing mindful, compassionate speech. Each greeting, each response, each teaching was spoken with care, attention, and warmth. Over time, the villagers began to notice a change, not just in his behavior, but in his presence. His face became calm, approachable, and radiant. People were drawn to him, not out of fear, but because they felt safe and respected in his presence. His words had softened his very features. It's remarkable how this works. Every harsh word we speak tenses the muscles in our face and throat. Over time, repeated tension can harden into habitual expressions of stress or irritation. But every gentle word has the opposite effect. It relaxes the jaw, softens the eyes, lifts the corners of the mouth. Speak with kindness, and your body begins to mirror your speech. The mouth, eyes, and face slowly become more relaxed, more open, more approachable. This principle isn't only philosophical, it's physiological. Psychologists have found that positive verbal expressions can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, in both the speaker and the listener. Your words literally affect your nervous system. When you speak gently, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like oxytocin, which fosters connection, empathy, and even a sense of physical calm. Over time, these micro-effects accumulate, shaping your facial expressions, your demeanor, and the way people perceive you. I remember a time when I worked in a particularly tense environment. People spoke harshly, deadlines were tight, and tempers flared easily. I noticed my own expressions growing tight, my forehead wrinkled, my jaw clenched. One day, I decided to consciously shift the way I spoke, even in small moments. A calm thank you instead of an irritated remark, a patient I understand instead of snapping. Within weeks, I noticed a subtle transformation. My face felt softer, my posture more relaxed, and interactions were smoother. Others responded with warmth instead of defensiveness. I realized then that words shape not just relationships, but the very architecture of our presence. But here's a question to consider. How often do we speak without awareness? How often do words slip out in frustration, fear, or impatience? And how often do we forget that these words don't vanish once spoken? They ripple outward, affecting others and reflecting back on us. Practicing gentle speech is not about perfection. It's about noticing, adjusting, and aligning our words with mindfulness. Gentle speech can be transformative in everyday life. Imagine greeting your partner after a long day with kind, understanding words instead of criticism. Imagine addressing a colleague with patience and respect, even when you're frustrated. Imagine responding to a stranger with calm, empathetic words. These small acts, repeated over time, soften the face, open the heart, and cultivate trust and connection. And here's something beautiful. When we cultivate gentle speech, it's not only the external interactions that change, our inner dialogue shifts too. Speaking kindly to others trains the mind to be gentler with itself. The harsh self-critic begins to soften. Anxiety loosens its grip. Worry lines in the mind mirror themselves less in the face. Over time, the combination of mindfulness, compassion, and gentle speech manifests in a serene, inviting expression that draws people in naturally. Even simple practices help. Before responding to someone, pause. Breathe. Consider, are these words necessary, true, and kind? Then speak deliberately. Notice how your own face feels as you do this. Observe the relaxation in the jaw, the softening around the eyes, the lift of the corners of the mouth. Over time, this becomes second nature. Speaking with kindness shapes not only your relationships, but also your very presence. Remember, our words are not ephemeral, they sculpt us. A face that habitually utters harshness will carry tension, stiffness, and fatigue. A face that habitually speaks with kindness will radiate calm, warmth, and approachability. The mirror doesn't lie. The habits of speech eventually etch themselves into our appearance. So, the next time you're tempted to speak sharply, pause. Consider the effect of gentle, mindful words, not just on others, but on yourself. Allow your speech to become a reflection of inner care and presence. Speak softly. Speak truthfully. Speak with compassion. And notice how your face begins to follow suit, softening, relaxing, radiating quiet warmth. In essence, gentle words are like sunlight for the face. They illuminate without burning. They warm without harshness. And as your speech becomes a practice of mindfulness, your face naturally becomes a mirror of serenity and kindness. People may feel drawn to you, not because of appearance alone, but because your words and presence convey a deep sense of peace. And in the next chapter of our journey, we will explore mindful rest and sleep, how the quiet moments of replenishment not only restore energy but also reflect on the calmness and clarity of your face, completing the cycle of mindful care from within. Living simply, the beauty of serenity. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to carry a lightness about them, a quiet ease that radiates from their very presence? You can see it in their eyes, in the way their face rests, in the subtle softness of their smile. It's a calm that doesn't need words, a serenity that speaks for itself. And often, that kind of presence comes from living simply. GNG MTK MTNGA bit, Luon tot lenes nh nom. The face of someone who knows what is enough always radiates relief. There's a story in Buddhist teachings about a monk who had almost nothing. No fine clothes, no luxurious food, no wealth or possessions to speak of. Yet when people saw him, they noticed something remarkable. His face was calm, bright, and serene. His eyes sparkled with contentment, his mouth rested in a gentle smile, and his whole demeanor exuded peace. What's the secret? It wasn't magic, and it wasn't luck. It was the deep understanding of sufficiency. The monk knew what he needed, and he appreciated it fully. He wasn't chasing what he didn't have. He wasn't weighed down by desires for more. In that simplicity, he found freedom. And in that freedom, his face naturally reflected joy and ease. We often forget how much our desires shape not just our behavior, but our expressions. When we are always reaching for more recognition, more comfort, more possessions, our face tenses. The eyes can harden with longing, the jaw can clench with frustration, the forehead can crease with worry. It's subtle, but those lines and expressions tell a story of dissatisfaction and inner unrest. Living simply doesn't mean renouncing all pleasure or ambition. It means recognizing what is truly necessary and learning to be content with it. It's about cutting through the clutter of excess, material, emotional, or mental, and allowing your being to rest in sufficiency. The result is a face that reflects that ease. When we know enough, when we appreciate enough, our face relaxes. It becomes soft, open, and approachable. I remember a time when I was caught in the whirlwind of modern life. Busy schedules, endless to-do lists, and the constant pressure to achieve left me physically and emotionally tense. I could see it in the mirror, tired eyes, a tight jaw, lines that spoke of stress more than laughter. Then I started experimenting with simplicity, decluttering my space, prioritizing what truly mattered, slowing down. Within weeks, I noticed a difference. Not only did I feel lighter, but my face seemed to reflect that inner relief. People even commented, "You look calmer, happier." It wasn't makeup or sleep alone. It was the serenity of sufficiency radiating outward. Here's something to consider. How often do we let our desires dictate the expression on our face? Are we constantly chasing, comparing, striving? And how does that affect not only our inner peace but the energy we project to others? There's a subtle power in realizing that the mind can create unnecessary tension and the face simply mirrors it. Living simply also allows space for gratitude. When we reduce the noise of excess, we begin to notice the beauty of small things, the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the flavor of a modest meal, the kindness of a friend. Gratitude softens the eyes, lifts the corners of the mouth, and smooths the forehead. It transforms ordinary moments into sources of calm and joy, and that transformation is visible in the face. Even small practices help. Take a moment each day to pause and reflect on what is enough for you. Appreciate what you have, the simple comforts, the love around you, the breath in your lungs. Resist the pull of constant comparison, the desire for more. Let yourself be present with sufficiency. Notice how your face responds. The jaw unclenches, the eyes soften, the smile emerges naturally. These moments of awareness, multiplied over time, cultivate a lasting serenity that no cosmetic or trend can replicate. And here's the beautiful paradox. Simplicity doesn't mean emptiness. It means fullness of awareness. It means richness in what truly matters. The monk in our story didn't have much, but he had everything that counted: peace, clarity, and contentment. And that inner abundance shone clearly on his face, more luminous than any material wealth could. So, consider this for yourself. What can you let go of today to lighten the load? Material clutter, mental chatter, unnecessary worry. What does your face look like when you allow sufficiency to guide your life? The answer may surprise you. You might find a softness, a gentle radiance, a relaxed presence that draws people in without effort. Simplicity is the most enduring cosmetic for the face. It doesn't fade, it doesn't require maintenance, and it radiates a timeless calm. When you live simply, when you appreciate what is enough, your face becomes a reflection of your inner freedom. And in that reflection, others can feel the lightness too, a quiet invitation to slow down, to breathe, to notice the richness of sufficiency in their own lives. So remember, the beauty of serenity isn't something you apply externally. It's cultivated from within through awareness, gratitude, and the gentle practice of living simply. Let go of excess, honor what is essential, and notice how your face, your daily mirror, shifts into calm and radiance. And in our next chapter, we will explore mindful rest and sleep, how consciously nurturing the body in quiet moments completes this journey, restoring energy, balance, and even more subtle radiance to the face. Meditation, a face that radiates light. Have you ever met someone whose presence feels calm, whose face seems to glow with an inner clarity, even before they speak? There's a subtle energy there, a quiet light that comes from deep within. Often, that light is the reflection of meditation, the gentle mirror of a mind at ease. NGI thin lao nm, CHCN nin GNG MTA with tilde to sang trong. The face of a seasoned meditator already reveals inner brightness. This isn't a myth or an exaggeration. It's something observed throughout centuries of Buddhist practice. The Buddha himself, as described in countless texts, radiated serenity and benevolence. His calm, radiant expression was a direct reflection of a mind free from turbulence, a heart cultivated in awareness and compassion. Consider the story of a young monk visiting a renowned meditation master. The student had heard much about the master's wisdom, but what struck him most was not the teaching, but the face. The master's eyes were calm pools of understanding, the lines of his face soft and relaxed, the mouth naturally curved in a subtle, effortless smile. No words were necessary. The face itself radiated peace. And when the student began to practice meditation under his guidance, he gradually noticed the same effect emerging in himself. As his mind grew quieter, his face softened, the tension around the eyes and jaw eased, and a subtle radiance appeared. This is the remarkable thing about meditation. It's not just a practice for the mind, it manifests physically. When the mind is restless or anxious, it reflects outwardly. Our eyes can dart nervously, the forehead can crease, the jaw can clench, and the mouth can tighten. These are subtle expressions, but they accumulate over time, creating a habitual tension that others notice immediately. Meditation, however, cultivates stillness. It teaches the mind to settle, to observe without clinging, to rest in the present moment. And when the mind is calm, the body follows. The face relaxes naturally, and an inner glow emerges. Even modern science supports this. Research on mindfulness and meditation shows that consistent practice can reduce stress hormones, lower blood pressure, and improve mood regulation. These physiological changes contribute to a more relaxed demeanor and, over time, a more open and radiant facial expression. In other words, meditation is like an internal skincare routine. It nourishes the face from within, not through creams or treatments, but through the cultivation of calm, clarity, and presence. I remember when I first started meditating daily. At first, it was challenging. My mind raced, tension built up, and sitting still felt almost impossible. But as I persisted, even for a few minutes each day, I began noticing subtle shifts. The tightness in my jaw loosened. The habitual frown between my eyebrows softened. My eyes seemed more open, brighter, more attentive. And friends began commenting, "You look different, calmer, happier." It wasn't just how I felt, it was how my inner state translated to my outward presence. Meditation also teaches us something profound about energy. Our moods, thoughts, and attention carry subtle vibrations, and these are visible on the face. A mind consumed by anger or anxiety radiates tension. A mind at peace radiates ease. By training the mind to focus, to release attachments, and to rest in awareness, we cultivate a quiet energy that naturally softens our features and illuminates our presence. Think about it. How often do we react impulsively, allow worries to cloud our mind, or carry unspoken frustration? Even when we try to mask it, the face reveals these inner states. Meditation isn't about forcing a smile or creating a false expression. It's about nurturing the mind so that calm and contentment naturally emerge, and the face becomes a mirror of that inner state. Let's explore a practical example. Imagine starting the day with just 5 minutes of mindful breathing. Notice the rise and fall of the chest, the subtle rhythm of your heartbeat, the gentle flow of air. Let thoughts drift by without engagement, returning to the breath. After a week, notice the subtle changes. Your eyes may appear softer, the tension in your jaw less pronounced, a hint of serenity in your expression. Over months, these changes become more pronounced. Your face, unconsciously, mirrors the calm cultivated in meditation. Meditation is also deeply connected with compassion. When the mind rests in awareness, it naturally opens to empathy and understanding. This openness is visible. Eyes soften, smiles become genuine, and the face communicates warmth without effort. The face of a compassionate meditator is magnetic, not because of conventional beauty, but because of the energy and clarity that shine through. Here's a reflective question for you. When you look in the mirror, what story does your face tell about your mind? Is it tense, distracted, or hurried? Or does it convey calm, presence, and clarity? Meditation is a tool to consciously shape that story, to allow your face to radiate the inner peace you cultivate, rather than the tension of habitual thought patterns. Ultimately, meditation teaches us that beauty is not merely skin deep. The most radiant faces are born from minds at ease. By dedicating even a few minutes each day to stillness, to observing the breath, and to resting in awareness, we nourish the face from the inside out. The eyes become brighter, the lines soften, the jaw relaxes, and a subtle, natural glow emerges. This is the true magic of meditation. It doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your presence, your energy, and your appearance in the most authentic way. So, the next time you sit quietly, breathe, and observe, remember, meditation is not only a path to inner peace, but also a path to a face that radiates light. Your calm mind, cultivated moment by moment, becomes visible to the world. And in the next part of this journey, we'll explore mindful gratitude, how appreciating life's gifts can further illuminate your face and deepen the serenity you've cultivated through meditation. The face, a silent sermon. Have you ever noticed that some people don't need to say a single word, yet the energy they carry, the serenity in their gaze, speaks volumes? It's as if their very presence delivers a quiet teaching, a gentle reminder of calm, kindness, and awareness. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful notion. The face itself can be a sermon. Bien Kong Cien Noi Gi, GNG MTA with tilde LRMT by Thuat Phap. You don't need to speak. Your face can already be a silent teaching. Think of the Buddha, who often sat in quiet meditation, speaking only when necessary. Yet people naturally gravitated toward him, drawn not only to his wisdom but to the gentle radiance of his presence. His face conveyed warmth, clarity, and safety. It was as if every line, every expression, every soft curve of his features radiated a quiet invitation. Come, be at ease. Rest in peace. There's a story about a village where the Buddha traveled to teach. People were hesitant at first. They didn't know him. They had their fears and doubts. But when they saw him, their hesitation melted. He didn't need to preach immediately. Just his calm, open demeanor, his soft eyes, relaxed posture, and gentle smile made them feel safe and receptive. The silent message of his presence allowed hearts to open before a single word was spoken. This is the power of a mindful face. When our mind is calm, our attention aware, and our heart present, the face naturally reflects that inner state. It becomes a gift for others, a non-verbal teaching of peace. Imagine sitting across from someone whose expression is relaxed and kind. Just by observing them, you might feel your own tension ease, your own mind soften. Their serenity becomes contagious, spreading without any words. We often underestimate how much our inner state shapes our interactions. Stress, anger, worry, or impatience not only show up in our behavior but also manifest subtly in our expressions. The tight jaw, the furrowed brow, the cold glance. Others may feel it even if we say nothing. On the flip side, cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and calmness naturally radiates outward. Our face becomes a reflection of the attention and care we give to our own mind. I remember a time when I struggled with impatience. During meetings, conversations, or even simple daily interactions, I would feel tension build up, and I could see it in the mirror afterward. Pinched lips, tight jaw, tense eyes. My energy was noticeable to others before I even opened my mouth. Then I began a practice of pausing, taking a mindful breath before responding, gently softening my gaze, allowing a small, conscious smile. Over time, people noticed a difference. They would comment, "You seem more at ease today." I realized that my face had become a vessel of calm, silently conveying what I was cultivating internally. This is why mindfulness matters so much, not just for inner peace, but for how we show up in the world. Every expression we carry can be a form of silent teaching or influence. A tense face may convey judgment or stress, even unintentionally. A mindful, gentle face offers reassurance, presence, and care. It's a way to offer peace to others, simply by being. Here's a question to reflect on. If someone observed your face for a day, without hearing a word from you, what would they learn? Would your expressions communicate tension, impatience, or frustration? Or would they convey calm, kindness, and clarity? This is not about perfection or a forced smile. It's about cultivating a mind that rests in presence, so that the natural expression of your inner state becomes a gift to the world. There's also a deeper dimension. A face that reflects mindfulness nurtures empathy. Others feel safe, seen, and supported. It can reduce anxiety, encourage trust, and create subtle but meaningful connections. In this sense, our own practice of mindfulness becomes more than self-care. It becomes an act of care for everyone we encounter. The Buddha's silent presence was a perfect illustration. Without speaking, he taught compassion, patience, and wisdom through the simple radiance of a mindful face. To cultivate this yourself, you can start with small, intentional practices. Before entering a conversation, take a mindful breath and relax your jaw and shoulders. Soften the gaze, allow a gentle, authentic smile to emerge, and carry an inner awareness of calm. Over time, these moments accumulate, shaping not just your demeanor, but your habitual expressions. Your face becomes a reflection of presence, a silent sermon that communicates what words sometimes cannot. Mindful awareness in daily life, through posture, gestures, and facial expressions, is a practice in itself. Each time you respond to frustration with calm, or observe your emotions without judgment, your face gradually absorbs the qualities of mindfulness. Friends, colleagues, and strangers may notice the quiet difference. And in that subtle presence, your face becomes a teaching, a reminder that peace and clarity are possible. So, consider this as an invitation. Let your face be a gift, a silent sermon that communicates mindfulness, calm, and compassion. Allow each expression to reflect the inner work you do, the attention you cultivate, the awareness you nurture. This is the culmination of the journey we've explored. Everything we've practiced, from mindful breathing to gentle speech, from simple living to meditation, flows into the face we present to the world. A mindful face is not just beautiful, it is profoundly influential. It reminds others to pause, to breathe, to notice, and to cultivate their own inner calm. It is a teaching without words, a presence that uplifts and reassures. And this is the final insight of our series. The face can be a silent sermon, a reflection of mindfulness that benefits both ourselves and everyone we encounter. And as we continue this journey, the next video will explore how to nurture mindfulness in daily life through small, practical actions, ensuring that the calm and serenity reflected on your face can be sustained in every moment, at work, at home, and in the smallest, seemingly insignificant interactions.